It's boggy, it's beautiful, and it's where they call the bagpipes the Torupilli. This is Estonia. Sitting in the northeast of Europe, jutting out into the Baltic Sea, Estonia lies south of Finland, west of Russia, and north of Latvia. Over half its territory is covered in forest, a fifth of its mainland is covered in bogs, also known as wetlands, and there are over 1,500 islands dotting its coastline. Most of the population live in urban areas, mainly Tallinn, the capital city, and how could you blame them when it has one of the best preserved medieval cities in Northern Europe? The driving force behind my trip to Estonia was, of course, the bagpipes, and as it turns out, they're super prominent in Estonian folklore.
I've just met these lovely ladies who are Kalamanya locals, live in Tallinn. And I've got a question for you too. What is, or how do I say bagpipes in...
Torupilli.
Ah, very good. Torupilli. Torupilli, which means pipe instrument.
Estonia has its own version of the bagpipes called the Torupilli, and it's been around for over 400 years. It was such an important part of Estonian folklore that they even decided to name a sub-district of Tallinn Torupilli, aka the Bagpipe District. Sadly, in the late 1900s, the Torupilli started to go out of fashion, but it's now come back with a vengeance thanks to Estonia's folk musicians. One group of particular note are the Torupilli Jussi Trio, whose music you're listening to right now. When I visited Estonia, I hadn't yet come across that musical trio, otherwise I definitely would have got in contact with them. So, I decided my best chances of finding a Torupilli player would be on the island of Kihnu because of its cultural heritage. Kihnu is an ancient island of seafarers and fishermen. The cultural heritage is so unique that the music, language, clothing and crafts is listed by UNESCO. Singing and dancing is such an important part of community life that I was totally convinced that I would somehow bump into a Torupilli player. But as soon as I got to the island, I found out that the last piper had died in the early 1900s. Damn it! There are no hotels on Kihnu, so you stay with families in their guest houses, and that gives you a great insight into Kihnu life. I stayed with the Castani family, and they honestly could not have been any more lovely.
This is my host, Mum Ulle, in Kihnu traditional dress, welcoming some other guests who are staying for the night. And this is the rest of their farm/home. Oh god, the guests that I'm staying with, or that are also staying at Castani guest house, have asked that I play the bagpipes for them. Fine. But then they've asked me to teach them how to do Scottish country dancing. Uks, kak, skol. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8.
After a couple of days on Kihnu, my host mum was determined to send me off with a traditional Kihnu jumper. So she cycled around the houses with me in tow, literally knocking on people's doors to see if anyone had just finished knitting one. Legend. I might not have found a Torupilli player, but at least I was able to share a couple of tunes from Scotland, learn about Kihnu life, and leave Estonia with one of these awesome jumpers. There's so many things to share about Estonia that it's almost hard to know where to start. It's the first country in the world to introduce online voting, and it's often described as the most digitally advanced society. It also has one of the highest literacy rates in the world, and most people in the country speak a foreign language, which is usually Russian or English. And lastly, I know this isn't a fact, but if you liked the music you've been listening to, you can find the Torupilli Jussi Trio on Facebook and SoundCloud, and I know they'd be super grateful if you gave them a like, a listen, or a share.